All right, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Couldn't go without a little taste of Chuck there. Plum fool. All right, coming up, we've got Olivia Antilla. If you don't know who Liv is, this is the accolades. FAMU women's basketball player from 14 to 16. Look at the numbers. She knows her stuff. Straight baller, baby. Top 10 and count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different categories, including leading the team in scoring both years that she was at FAMU. Nobody did it better. Well, there may have been a few, but look, she did it really well when she was there. So we got Liv coming up here, so that way you guys better know. Let me make sure I bring her in. Liv, hey. How you doing, Liv?
Good. How are you guys?
What's up, Liv?
Doing well.
Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year.
All right. It never gets old when you see those stats and pictures, does it, Liv? Never gets old, does it?
I'm definitely a person who doesn't like the attention, so I get super I shy away from that, but I do appreciate it to let people know, because I've been getting questioned lately on why should anyone listen to me. So
what?
Thank you for that.
Hey, look, you've been coming strong with strong takes all pretty much since we've gotten to know you and since you kind of come into this space. So definitely appreciate you. Let's get a couple things out of the way here as we come into the women's basketball season and the men's season starting. We got to give some props and flowers to our SWAC player of the week. Most recently, Ariana Grizzle, who had a great game against North Florida. 31 points, 3 rebounds, 3 of 6 from the arc, 57% from the field. She was on fire. You got a chance to watch that performance, Liv. What was your take on Ariana?
I mean, she's a straight scorer. I'm glad she's getting this moment now for her to truly show her talents. Last year, she was in more of a backup scoring role, whereas this year now she's been given the ultimate green light, and she's showing not only her ability to score, but her versatility, her ability to get to the rim. Her pull-up jump shot it's really, really good. She deserved that. And Kariah Beck deserved it. Either way, if it would have flip-flopped for who got what, both those two were very deserving. But Grizzle, she held it down. She's been holding it down, but that game she went crazy and did her thing. She looked really good that game.
Okay. As we go into this upcoming season, the ladies, we'll start with the ladies, always ladies first. The ladies are going into the start of the season with a 1-10 record, but by my count, unofficially, I counted 4 games in which in the non-conference were winnable games that they lost by a possession or two. Losing at Sam Houston by 3, home to South Alabama by 3, on the road at Detroit Mercy by 6, getting outscored by 18-9, had a lead going into the fourth quarter. And then, of course, that game that Ariana had a good night at, we lost that game in overtime. What's your evaluation of what you've seen thus far from the team in the non-conference?
Yeah, so those were the 4 games I had jotted down as kind of non-conference disappointments, because those were 4 games that were extremely winnable and games that they were leading at one point. Towards the end of the games, in all of 4 of them, it was just poor decision for most of it, especially, for instance, during Detroit Mercy. They were only down 2, and instead of just attacking the basket, they literally shot like 4 threes in a row. They shot a 3, missed, got it back, dribbled out to the 3-point line, shot another 3, brought it back. There was so much time. It was just, they, in close games, they can't close them out. And also, they don't have additional consistent scores. It wouldn't even matter who the additional 2 are, but on a nightly basis, they don't even have 2 people that they can consistently count on. Now, that's the key word, consistently. I don't care if someone had 20 points before, if the next game they have 4 and the next game they have 6. Grizzle can't do it alone. She's showing that she can score, that she can lead. And even coach took her off the point, which I've been saying to do all year. Let her off the ball, let her be a true scorer, find someone else to do it. But now they need other people to step up. And that's, if they don't fix that, and it's really unfortunate that they're going on the road to play Bethune their first game, but they need to fix that problem. Someone else has to give a consistent 10 to 12. Another person like give 8 to 10. Like she needs help. That's really what it comes down to. She needs help and they need to have better decision making.
Who could that person be? I mean,
Delancey.
Okay.
I had to jump in. Go ahead, Liv.
It is one of them. She has been, from a basketball standpoint, she is very inconsistent. She'll get extremely hot and the next game be extremely cold. They moved her to coming off the bench, and I thought that was a great move because the game before, that's when she went she had an outlandish percentage. But then now that FAMU has moved to the smaller lineup, which we've talked about before, and works to their benefit, she's back in. She's been sprinkled in and out of the lineup, and she's gone back to being inconsistent. I think they need to just move her back to coming off the bench, and then start Hendricks, because I will say versus North Florida, I saw a lot more confidence from her. I think she's still getting adjusted to the college play. She's not the player who's going to come in, the freshman who's going to come in and give you 20 right away. Like, she's adjusting. I think she can give them that 6 to 8. She can defend in the post. And if it's not Delancey, then Sylvester needs to give something. And Zubarat needs to stay on the 3-point line and shoot. Catch and shoot. Catch and shoot. Catch and shoot.
That's it.
Like,
don't do nothing else, because she's a turnover machine if she do anything else on offense. Catch and shoot. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Liv.
If she would just stand there and catch and shoot, she could easily give 12 to 15 a night. Like, keep it simple. You're a shooter. Just be ready when Grizzle drives. She jump stops in the middle. Be ready for the kick out and hit that shot.
One of the names I didn't hear you mention is actually leading the SWAC in minutes per game, and that's Shawnee Gilbert. I mean, she's leading the SWAC with 37 minutes a game, right behind. Well, actually, she's ahead of Zay Green over at UAPB. And then, of course, Grizzle is in that top 5 with about 32 minutes a game. What's your take on Nashani Gilbert?
The thing about Nashani Gilbert, and I've said this on Twitter, X, I don't care what she gives on offense because she does everything else that no one on this team does. She's the one who dives on the floor, consistently takes charges, is playing the most minutes. She does not take breaks. So if on offense, she's being smart with her shot taking, because at the beginning of the season, that was a big question mark for me with her. Her shot selection was poor. It has improved since the first game. I don't care. She'll give you like 4 to 8, but the fact that she gives this team everything else, I don't fault her for not being able to give us 12 to 15. Someone else has to, because she legit does everything that does not show up in the stat sheet.
Ditto.
Who do we need to see? Who does this team need to see an improvement from in order to have a successful season? Or where do we need to see? Obviously, you've gone through a lot of the main players there: Grizzle, Gilbert, Sylvester. But I feel like, is there somebody there that you think is missing, or hey, we need to see this person come back or show up and to really kind of change the trajectory of this team?
To be completely honest, and I've said this online, it's not going to happen. If the only thing, if Skylar was healthy, she seems to be very, like, last year she battled injuries. This year she's battling injuries. The reason I like her is because she can give like a bigger body on defense. But what I've seen from the other players, they don't have what you can teach. Like, you can't teach. You can't teach aggressiveness. You can't teach that dog mentality. You either have it or you don't. And this is based on what they've shown me. Do they have, positives and negatives like every player? Yes. But unfortunately for FAMU, the small lineup is what works best for them. And they're going to have to run with that and figure it out. And there's games they're just going to they're going to be extremely undersized, but I still think for the offensive flow and spacing on the floor and the ability to press, that works better for them. And I think those 5 guards and the bigger, like, Hendricks isn't even big, but she's about 5'10", and then Gilbert's 5'10", and Delancey's like 5'10". They need to figure it out. Like, I've seen them battle down there, but that's just my opinion. I don't see any other production coming from players that we have seen thus far this season.
What are you gonna add, Kelvin?
So I totally agree with Liz, but it's not one person, but as a team, there's 2 things I think they could do. Everybody got to step up a little bit, not because they're competitive, right? So we don't need nobody to, all of a sudden average 10, which they ain't capable of. But what can happen is the guard play, and outside of Grizzly, I'm talking about turnovers specifically, and I'm talking about Super Rat specifically. If people understand their role and what they're good at, that can help this team. And then because we've got to play a small lineup, pressing and getting easy baskets, I think is really key. I think coach should try that a little more. I know you worry about rebounding it and fouls and stuff, but to have a puncher's chance, you're gonna have to take some risks with this team because you just don't have the numbers in terms of size, in terms of scoring, and athleticism overall to play teams straight up. So you gotta muddy the game up and try to get some easy baskets.
What other keys to success in the conference season are you looking for this team, Liv?
Sorry, I'm scrolling down to my notes.
No, that's all right.
Calvin hit, like I said, Grizzle can't do it alone. She can't. So someone, regardless of who it is, on a nightly basis, they need other people to step up and contribute. And yes, she takes shots, but I think she'll maybe have like 2 bad shots a game. And I'm like, we could have done without that, but I'm not really mad about it. They can't afford to not get the 50-50 balls. Like, they just don't have the extensive talent to get away with that. Like, teams that don't have the offensive power, you cannot take breaks on defense. You have to limit your turnovers. The 50-50 balls have to be yours. They need to stay out of foul trouble. Like, they're kind of on a tight leash because they do not have, like, they have one player who you can be like, go give me 20. And they just don't have the personnel in order to make mistakes. So from them, I just, like Calvin said, I would just want to see a little bit more. I thought I saw that for most of the North Florida game. It was the turnover bug that completely switched. They were up, and then they came out in the 4th quarter, and it was turnover. That's the momentum that switched that whole game, was they started turning it over. But if they can limit turnovers, do the little things, keep the rebounding close, it's going to be just looking at the teams of the SWAC. I think they can be competitive rebounding with most teams, but there's some where unless they're sending 2 at a specific person, They just got to keep it close and within reach. But those are kind of my keys to success for them. I honestly think seeing all these other teams, because I actually watch, if they play this right, they could possibly push for that 8th seed, but they cannot afford to, like, they have to sweep Elkhorn. They play them twice. They only play Valley once, and they only play Texas Southern once. Those are 4 games they cannot lose. If they go those 4 and then, they beat a PV once, or they split with Grambling or Southern, they really have a chance to make that push, but they just have to be clean. And like Calvin said, know your role, know what you're good at, and don't play outside of that. Like, just know your strengths.
And I want to show this to everybody because obviously you just mentioned it. Here's the preseason rankings from this is before the non-conference started. And as you can see, we are preseason 10th. So you go back again. You mentioned who are those keys again when you look at this, and how does this team? Because you were talking about how this team can sneak into that 8th spot, maybe even a 7th spot. I don't know if I'm being optimistic there, but again, repeat that again, Liv, in comparison to what you see, and who within this preseason poll is sort of right where they thought they were predicted, and who kind of has maybe dropped a little based on this.
It's about right.
So
Is
Go ahead.
I'm like, besides the last 2, maybe even the last 3, I understand why people put FAMU at 10. I understand that, because these preseason polls don't put into account transfers, freshmen, like none of that. It's based on like what you saw and what you know.
right.
But if they need to sweep Elkhorn, they have to beat Texas Southern, they have to beat Valley. I think they could split with PV. They could even, Alabama State has 2 really good post players, but their guard play has not shown me anything significant to where I'm like, oh, they're such a threat. I think they can split with them. I think this whole list, this is preseason, but based on what I've seen, this whole list, I would not rank any of those teams besides the last 2 where they currently are.
Okay. So what is your so I'm putting you on the spot here. Who's your 8? Who's your 8? Who are the 8 teams that Olivia says will make it into the SWAC tournament?
So for sure, I have UAPB, Jackson State, Southern, Bethune, Grambling, Alabama A&M, and then those last 2 spots, I don't have Elkhorn making it. Those last 2 spots, based on what I've seen, are really up for grabs, just based on what I've seen from personnel. Because like PV, they legit play 15 people. They average over 12 minutes. It's hard for them to find a flow. They don't have huge posts, so our lineup can work well against them. Alabama State, like, they're coming off of losing 35 points a game with their 2 players who graduated. Like, they have not found an offense that works for them. They're also averaging 28 turnovers a game. I just, for sure, for me, and this is no tea, no shade to these teams, but I don't have Valley making it. I don't have Texas Southern making it, and I don't have Elkhorn making it. So if FAMU can just be steady and compete and at least split with teams, they can possibly make that push for the 8th.
Hey, like the football team used to defend Bragg. Well, we got to defend Lawson. We got to defend the Pit.
Yeah. There's that schedule there as you see it. In terms of what'd you say?
I said they start out with a really first 4 very hard games. So they're going to be tested
That's
first,
four of your six. That's four of your four of your top 16.
yes,
Hell, might be four of the top four of the top five right there in the first 4 weeks, right?
yes, honestly, yeah.
Yikes. Well, that good tune-up. They gotta be competitive there. We've got Southern at home, Grambling home, and then we travel to UAPB, and then by you get to that time where maybe when you go to Valley, hopefully you're still healthy. I
Right.
think that's always a key. Can you still be healthy after playing those 4 games?
That is right. And not Valley has a player who is really good. Shadiman McKnight. So that's not gonna be a slack game. Like she brought in a whole new team besides one player. And so I don't think they're gonna get walked over, but I feel like Valley will win a game this year and they'll shock somebody and walk away with the W. It just FAMU better make sure it's not them because
Yeah. I didn't see that. How many times did we play Valley this year?
only one.
Oh, Jesus. And that's on the road. Okay. So we got to make sure we go to Valley and get that win. All right. Flipping it over to the men. The men coming out of the non-conference are technically 2-9, but really, if you count them against just Division I opponents, 1-8. Who are some of the spotlight players that have impressed in the non-conference on the men's side?
Yeah, so I'll start with FAM. For them specifically, I think before this last stretch of games, I would have put KJ Parker in there. But last game he went 1-11. The game before he went 0 for 10. So he's kind of fallen off for me because I'm like,
Freshman
what?
fatigue? Freshman fatigue, maybe?
It might be because
inconsistent.
He's playing a crazy amount of minutes. He needs to find his footing in the college pace and the rhythm with the team. But I will say Keith Lamar has been the most consistent player for FAMU. I've really liked what he's given this team. And I mean, I'll say that. And then Hetty from Bethune-Cookman, he's been awarded Impact Player of the Week and Player of the Week multiple times. And Madlock from Bama State, I like the way he plays. Obviously, coach's son, but he earns his minute. Someone said, I'm sorry, I was reading the comments.
That's what I was laughing at.
Come on, Demetri. Come on now. Stop it. Don't do that.
And then from JSU, we have Ken Evans Jr., who's predicted Player of the Year, and I think he will get that. Dozier from Grambling. No one talks about Grambling because they've only won 3 games in the non-conference, but I mean, they snuck out that championship last year. So, and then Joseph from Southern, he's been he's been their kind of scoring power. And then from UAPB, I have Milton, Williams, and French. All 3 of them have been playing out of their minds. They're 3 of the top 5 in the SWAC for scoring. UAPB, they got some scorers on their team.
All right, here's the men's now you think about the season that we've seen, Liv, and what you've seen in this preseason. I mean, I'm like, wow, okay, FAMU 11th, but really when I look at the top, I'm like, really? I think people have underestimated Jackson State and Southern, who were preseason 4 and 5. I think they are better than that. And I don't know if Texas Southern is as good as everybody thinks they are. What's your take on this preseason rankings, and how does FAMU, where do you see FAMU? How does FAMU get into that 8 spot or better?
So always, like, the preseason's just based on what people saw last year. And because Texas Southern made that crazy run, people are like, oh, okay, let's put them at 1. But like, as you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams got a first place vote. So it wasn't like unanimous, like how Jackson State for the women, they had the bulk of the first place votes. From what I've seen, I do think people underestimated Jackson State and Southern. For me personally, they are the 2 top teams right now based on what I've seen. And I want people to really understand that even in losses, I can see things. I use like my knowledge of the game, my basketball IQ to see like how they're going through the loss and what it looks like.
Wait a minute, say that. Say that again, Liv. Because hold on, let me come back to you because, like you said, you got people questioning you. You played the game. Say that again, Liv. Say that again for people in the back who might have went to go get a cup of coffee or a drink. Say that again.
So I always use my basketball knowledge, my basketball IQ that I've used from playing and coaching in order to analyze a game. I'm not watching for fun most of the time, unless it turns to like we're blowing them out. I'm watching from a lens of analyzing, and what I'm seeing is the point guard insensibly turning the ball over at a high rate. Is the post player still getting great position and dominating? Is the rebounding margin still close, although they're losing? What do their perimeter shooters look like? Are they getting off good shots, or are they just jacking it up and being volume shooters? It's more than just wins and losses. And that's why the non-conference season for the SWAC and even the MEAC, it's so misleading to how teams are going to be when it comes to actually playing, because the money games, they just kill everything. And so when you're playing like Mississippi Valley, they played Gonzaga, and then the next night they went and played like another ranked team, like back to back nights. But Valley is perfectly placed. I want to be really clear with that. But for FAMU specifically, so this is what I said for men. The men's side of the SWAC, it's so different than the women's side, because everyone can look at the women's side and see kind of the 2 front running teams, because they have scores, they have players who are true posts at that 6'6" size. For men, the trend that I've been noticing is that it's going to come down to which team's big man is the most dominant. Every team, pretty much every single team, their best player is a scoring guard, and they're good. They can score. From Texas Southern, PJ Henry, and then from Jackson State, Ken Evans. From Southern, Joseph. From Prairie View, he's more of a forward, but what's his name? The 5th. I know he's the 5th. UAPB, their 3 people are their guards. I have yet to see, besides when O'Neal played in that Chris Paul HBCU Classic and he's playing out of position because Jackson State's post player is injured still, there is no post that has impressed me on the men's side, including ours. And to them, it's not all their fault, because true posts can't get themselves the ball.
Right.
So that's a problem in themselves. If you as a team, and that comes from the coach, if you're not telling, and this is across the board, not just FAMU, but if you're not telling your guards to get your posts involved, that's a you problem. When them big hungry men are running up and down the floor 94 feet a game, banging their bodies, and you're not feeding them at least once, like you're not even giving them a touch or a look, a post player is going to get pissed. Like, I'm doing all this, I can't get a touch. So if FAMU, one, KJ Parker has to become back consistent. They need him to score. Like, they need him to score. They just do. And when he is on, he's on, but you can't be inconsistent. Going like 0 for 10 is crazy. And then the next game going 1 for 11. Like, I know that gym is open, because when I was there, it was always open. You're laughing. I'm like, all you had to do was say, I'm going to go shoot. Like, and so if they can when they've got their posts involved, they've looked well. That's what happened in the win versus Presbyterian. They got their post players involved. They were both getting touches. Like, and to me, FAMU's post players are not black holes. They're not players who every time they touch it, they have to go up. They can make reads. So they need to get them involved. And whichever team big man is most dominant, I guarantee you is the team that is going to come out on top at the end of the SWAC tournament, because there is not a single team yet with a big man that has been consistently dominant.
Go ahead,
Calvin,
finish. I'm just letting Brian know to come to me next.
Oh no, you jump in there. Go ahead.
that has been consistently dominant. Like, it's a very guard dominated conference on the men's side.
Go ahead, Kim.
Excellent analysis again. I totally agree. I got a question for Liz, because I have my own opinions about it, and it frustrates me watching our men's team specifically, but it does apply a little bit to the women's side too. If you have a team that is not very good in the half court,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not gonna feed your bigs in the post, then what kind of offense, what kind of style of play should you be doing? Because we're hard to watch at times in the half court.
Mm-hmm.
The men take a lot of bad shots. They got some players now, but they take a lot of bad shots, and they have some careless turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your input on that?
In my opinion, the men should be trying to speed up the game and get quick layups. Like, and that really comes down to, because they don't use their posts. I feel like if they went to them more, and this is just, basketball is so easy. The sooner you get your posts involved, the sooner the perimeter opens up. But instead, FAMU just likes the guards to shoot, drive into the paint, where you have a big 6'9", 7-footer who is not, I mean, they've both shot maybe a few threes, if even that. Like, they primarily stay in the mid-range and the post. And if they don't want to speed up, then they need to do more pick and roll offense. The only reason why I've seen that they've had shooters kind of step up and get into it, but pick and rolls are only effective if you have consistent shooters from the outside that demand that help side to stick to them. So it's
Well,
just so hard.
Let me tell you guys something now. You guys are picking on our shooting, and I'm sitting here looking at the statistics in the conference, right? This is all non-conference. You know who the number 2 three-point field goal percentage team is in the SWAC? Us. FAMU. 34%, which is number 2 in the conference. Now, you say what you say about shooting 34%, but hey, when we do shoot them, we're actually not that bad.
So you know what that stat tells me? Our conference suck. Our conference suck at shooting a three. You got, like you said, something.
That shooting, it is. I'm like, where are the pure shooters at? Like, what's happening? But I was going to say, to your comment, I was also going to be like, where are they placed in the standings before conference play started? Because
that's all non-conference. So I mean, nobody conference starts on Saturday, so we'll see. But now there is a gap between first and second. Now UAPB's in first. They shoot the lights out. I mean, they've hit over 155 threes on the year. They shoot like 39%. You don't want to run against UAPB. I don't know how many times we played them this year, but when that team comes in the gym, they're jacking them. They're shooting them and they're making them.
Now, go ahead.
The other thing I was going to go to, the other stat that you talked about, Kelvin, you pointed out turnovers. Well, we're not statistically, we're not as bad as you think we are. We're actually we're second from the bottom in in terms of average per game, we actually only average 11.9, which is the third fewest turnovers per game in the conference.
If you contract, go ahead. Live and get you right.
I'm just giving the stats. I'm just giving the stats. Don't shoot the messenger.
I know stats can be super misleading, because the issue with FAMU's turnovers is they're always timely, or their turnovers, from what I've watched from their games, they almost always turn into the other team scoring. So even if another team has a higher turnover rate, what is the turnover to points ratio for their opponents?
Points off turnovers, right? That stat unfortunately is not immediately available here on SWAC.org. So
And let me add to that the fact that what we average per game. So
well,
if you're only putting up 60 points per game, 11 turnovers is a hell of a lot.
Yep.
65 points a game, second fewest output in the conference. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
pretty bad.
the one thing I was gonna add on the men's side real quick is that Bettis is still hurt. I think somebody asked. Yes, he's
Somebody
still
asked
out,
still injured.
and I think he probably gonna be out most of January. He probably won't be back to February. We do have a former guard back, Jalen Spear, who's a true point, right, and can penetrate.
I thought he had transferred.
He did, and he
He did.
transferred.
Yeah,
Yeah, he back.
Okay.
He back.
he was in the
And
box score.
what I would say is, and we've been saying this, and I don't know, and it's no need to hide from this. Everybody know this. I've never figured out why we don't play our shooter. And
Stop it.
and call and I'm gonna call his name. I don't know. He's a lights out shooter. Sits. I mean, he transferred from the Big East. I mean, he has games where if you give him enough minutes, he goes to 20. It's proven. He has a history. He's won games at the. I don't understand. I don't understand what he got against Stevens. I don't understand that.
I got, you know what? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 guys who shoot better than him. So, you know, he who I shall not name. We got 5.
Shoot better than him in what?
From the 3-point arc, percentage wise.
On our team?
On our team. Yes, indeed.
This year.
Yes.
How many attempts does he have?
How many? Wait a minute. How many does he have? Him?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's right 3.
Come on, Brian. Why you gonna try?
That's not statistically significant.
Why you gonna try me like that?
Okay, so but
I go to all the games.
Well, you need to pay attention to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That was real shallow, man. I'm disappointed in you.
Look, I have a quick question. No, I guess for Kelvin and Liv. Now, listening to y'all going over the woes of the men's basketball team. What's changed?
Good question.
Because we got 2 big men, but we haven't used them like we haven't done the years past.
Mm-hmm.
We're not scoring, and we're turning the ball over. So what's different from this year to last year?
I'm gonna take a stab at it real quick. Since I was around that sport a lot when I was at FAMU, I don't know if we get as much from our assistant coaches as we did early on. I can tell you, Jared Stevens could coach, and he did a lot of extra stuff away from regular practice schedule and time, and he wasn't afraid to go to Coach McCullum during a game and suggest things. I don't see a lot of that going on now. So that's one thing I would guess is a difference. Outside of that, nothing.
He's got 2 coaches who've been there with him for a few years now, at least for about 4 seasons.
Yeah, they've been there, but I mean, I'm just saying.
All right.
I don't know what their contribution. You
Liv,
see our record.
What would you like to add? What has changed? Has anything changed, Liv?
I mean, I would say probably not from the 21-22 season. Like, the reason why I think people look at that season and they're like, oh my gosh, that was so great. And not to put everything on one player, but MJ Randolph ran that team. Like, let's be honest. It was his team. It was his program. Like, and then losing him, they just had, when you have a player like that, and other players aren't used to coming into the spotlight, or they're used to the role of playing beside a great player. That's why last year they had I think a lot of the issues that they had was just losing, not having him there because he graduated, not having players. Players can claim they want that limelight, and then it's too bright for them. They can't step up. They get scared in the moment and they shy away from it.
It ain't but one Beyonce. Somebody got to be Destiny's Child.
Somebody got to be Michelle. Is that what you're trying to say? Come on now.
That's what I'm saying.
Stop
That
it.
still ain't bad. That still ain't bad.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, don't be
And,
talking
like-
bad about Michelle.
She ain't Bae. She ain't Queen Bee. She ain't Bae. That ain't talking bad. Talking bad.
Everyone can think they're a scorer and they're not. Like, I think what it comes down to this season is the way it looks while they're playing is there's no established roles. They're not using personnel to the best of their ability, because I'm sorry if I'm out there, because I like Grant. I like what he gives when he gets the ball. Like, that's a big body, like, down there. He's not a black hole. I like him. If I'm a guard on that team and I have a basketball IQ, I'm getting him the ball. So it seems like, and that's no shade to those players, but the way they play is like they lack high basketball IQ. They're out there at times playing for themselves to get scores, and that's what leads to the poor shot selection. It's just a bunch of mess. But I think since MJ
As an analyst,
Damn,
it's a
man.
bunch of mess.
I'm just saying, like a snowball effect. It started when MJ graduated, like, and then they go into trying to develop these players up. But then, like, Coach came on here and he said we had an energy vampire who was ruining the locker room and he was sucking the life out of the whole program. So we can say that to last year. You had an energy vampire last year. And then this year, I'm just wondering what's the excuse now? Because you're not using your big man. You claimed you had shooters. They're not being used. And I'm giving KJ a break because he is a freshman. He's playing some of the biggest minutes, like, as a freshman on this team. They lack leadership on the floor. They have the personnel to be good. They just don't play like it on a nightly basis.
Wow. You guys.
Yeah,
all right.
they
I'm
say
you
a
a couple
team
names.
takes.
Okay.
They say, hey, Brian.
It
I was
is.
just gonna say they say the team takes the personality of their coach.
Mm-hmm.
So
All right.
that's all. You can go ahead.
You talked about a replacement for MJ. I'm gonna give you a name. How about Keith Lamar? 10th overall in the conference in scoring, 5th in the conference in rebounding, 4th in the conference in field goal percentage. I think that's a positive. There's a guy who averages 16 a game. You know, and you know, could he be that person? Maybe. I also would challenge you and give you, how about Coffee the third, Roderick Coffee the third, in terms of stats within the conference, 7th in terms of assists per game, and actually 2nd in assist to turnover ratio, with the second best ratio. So maybe we can get, yeah, exactly. Maybe we can get production from a few guys, and defense. This team's got to get back to defending. I think when you go and look at the team stats defensively,
Hey, Brian,
we allow a lot of points.
Brian, you remember last year when we were only giving up like 59 points a game?
I forgot.
I mean, we were like
55, right? We
were dead last. We were sucking the dead last in Division One.
We're scoring 10 more points a game now, Kelvin. We're scoring 10 more points a game. We're also giving up about 25 more.
half full, and I'm such a realist of what they're showing me, and you're just like, they do this, they do this, like you're.
That's what's frustrating, Liz.
I'm trying to
Liv.
see, Liv.
The
I'm trying to
reality
sell
is,
tickets. I'm trying to sell tickets.
this team has pieces.
They do.
They do.
They do. They do.
They
If
do.
they could figure, if coach could figure it out and rotate those pieces in correctly to
Mhm.
their talent, they can make the tournament for sure.
Yeah.
But we all will be shocked if they do.
Yes, I
They won't-
think all of SWAC would be shocked if they do. Besides Brian.
Thank you. I'm not gonna be shocked. I'm not gonna be shocked. I'm not gonna be shocked.
Last thing. The other thing they missing is when you talk about that MJT, they missing leadership from on the team themselves, right? This team don't have a true leader, and that MJ team the year before, as well as when he was there, they had what the year before MJ junior year, they had like 8 seniors or something
Yeah.
like that, and those guys had played together because you had the COVID year. They had been together like 3 or 4 years. So that was special about that team. And you still had about MJ Senior, you still had about 4 holdovers from that team. So they had leadership and guys who had played a lot of ball. This is a new team. So
All right. The season begins on Saturday in Daytona Beach against Bethune. Liv's gonna make me give Bethune props because they are a good team, and after that win, who they beat the other day, Liv, where Bethune actually looked really good in a win. Who they beat? Mercer.
They beat Mercer when Chanel Wilson hit the game winner against their like 6'4" shot blocker.
Yeah, I saw that. So, look, we need Rattler Nation to get to the small gym in more gymnasium. How'd you do playing in that gym? Did you like that gym?
So it's so funny. I went back and I actually found my game when we played there. They had the band on that little tiny stage. They they had the cheerleaders standing on that small little baseline. It was packed. It's because of the size of the gym. It's probably one of the best environments to play in because it gets full super fast. Their fans are loud. Like it's a fun environment. It's very hectic. Cause I couldn't believe they had the band up there. Like I was like, are you trying to blow our eardrums out in this little tiny gym? But this is a game you should look forward to when you're playing Bethune. Like this is it's a huge game. And so I hope they come out knowing like that history of knowing like don't take this lightly. And I hope they just compete, to be honest. But I will say lately, when I've watched Bethune's games at home, they do get a crowd. And I know they've already been online being like, we're about to pack this out. No Rattlers are going to be allowed in there. Like they're ready. So it should be a fun environment for both teams to play in.
Wow. All right. What else you got playing, Liv? What's going on with you? I know. Do you want to make an announcement? I know you're going to talk about some things a little bit maybe tomorrow, but I don't know. Any plans for the your preview of the SWAC season? What's going on with that?
I'll be posting some videos about that.
Okay.
So many people are just wanting different things, and I'm going to do what I want to do because that's what
you should do.
Got 10 million requests. I will be posting a string of videos of the preview for the 6 games this weekend, including my predictions, who I think is going to win, what to expect, the matchups that I like, because the matchup, if you guys don't let these records fool you of non-conference games, because it means absolutely nothing once conference play. If like teams were dropping crazy games last year, like none of that matters. Bethune is a really good team, and I have been, I've been saying that all season, and they have 2 really good post players, which makes me just nervous for FAMU, but I think it's going to be a great matchup. Grizzle's going to see one of the top defenders in the SWAC in Dunn, who's I'm sure going to face guard her the entire night, but I'll be posting videos and letting you guys know what to expect and where you can watch the game, what time it's at. So you literally have no excuses to not support your school.
Well said, Liv. Appreciate you. Thank you for taking time out this evening to get us going. We'll have a couple of, well, let me see. After we play that game in Daytona, are we, hell, I got the schedule right here. Let me look.
Home games.
Okay.
Louisiana schools.
But that is the following Saturday. So
Saturday and Monday, right.
So basically we've got Saturday and then we have a whole week off before the next Saturday, which is the home debut. So this Saturday we're in Daytona Beach. Next Saturday is the home opener against Southern, and that'll be time to pack the pit. So hopefully the student body will be back, the band will be there, and you know, we can hope for some good play. That's all we can hope for, right?
If you're going
to
the, please sit low. That gym is so big. If you sit up at the top, no one can hear you. Try and sit at the lower half so you can be a part of the environment, because that gym, I swear, it was made for graduation. It's a beautiful, beautiful gym, but it's so big. But that Southern matchup should be good, and I hope people, like, the way teams get better is when you get behind them, when the fan base gets behind them and rallies them. So I hope FAMU shows up for that game versus Southern. And in Daytona, because I know a bunch of FAMU people live in Florida. So, Brian.
Just a few. I'll be there. I'm planning on going. I plan on going. I have a game up in Port Orange. By that time that game ends, I'm going to go over to Daytona Beach. It's not far. So hopefully I can get there for the women's game. But worst case, I'll be there for the men's game. So, all right, Liv, thanks for all your time. Have a good evening. Make sure to follow Liv on Twitter or X and on YouTube at LivForHoops. Live for hoops or die lonely, I like to say. So, bye, Liv.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.